Welcome to Dream Farm. On this episode I want to talk about tillage. There's a couple situations where I do till the ground. In most cases I try not to. So I want to talk about those situations where I think tillage is definitely the best way to establish your food plots. Dream Farm is brought to you by Whitetail Institute. Research equals results. Hunt Stand Pro Whitetail app. Hoyt Archery. Wildlife Farming. And PH Outdoors. So I grew up in northern Iowa in this little 80-acre dairy farm, and I don't know if there was a bottom to the topsoil. It might have been 6 foot deep. I never knew there was clay till I moved to southern Iowa. So there wasn't anybody in that part of the state where I grew up that worried about creating or building topsoil. Everybody tilled the ground. All the farmers, when I was a kid, engaged in tillage. So that was my background. I came into no-till late. It wasn't until I started planting food plots that I actually started engaging in any kind of learning or any kind of effort in no-till. So I'm naturally a tillage guy. But once I started using no-till, I really found a lot of advantages to it. And we'll get to those later. I want to talk about when I till and why. I still till my corn plots. I still like to incorporate the nitrogen into the ground. You know, my stuff is too small to use anhydrous or anything like that. So I'm always going to be spreading dry fertilizer, dry nitrogen, and if it sits on top of the ground for too long, it's just too unstable. It ends up volatilizing and evaporating and going up into the atmosphere, and you lose a fair amount of your nitrogen. So I like to disc it in just as soon as I put it onto the ground. So corn, a disc. I've had very good success over the years with tilling my clover. I've had way better success planting clover by broadcasting the seed on top of the ground after tilling and either cultipacking it in or just letting the rain beat it in than I have by planting it any other way, including no-till. And I don't generally disc then. The ideal setup when you're planting clover is a small tiller. You know, a little small power takeoff mounted 3-point hitch tiller for your tractor. That works really well. So those are the two times when I like to till. I feel like they give me an advantage. I feel like tillage is a big disadvantage when planting soybeans. I know a lot of farmers do it because they use the same type of planting equipment that they use for planting corn, and they control seed depth maybe a little bit better. But when I'm drilling, I like it to be a firm seed bed. I don't want my soybean seed to go in too deep. I also don't want to plant into soft ground and then have the rains come and then it forms a crust. So if I till and then drill into tilled ground for beans, usually I have a crust on top of the ground. And it's not like corn where you're pushing up a little spike. When you're trying to get the beans to come up, you're pushing the whole soybean up through the ground. So if it's crusted, you're going to lose a fairly sizable amount of your stand just because it gets contained underneath the crust on top of the soil. The best success I've had with beans is just straight up no-till. You don't have any problems with the crust. Seed gets in at a pretty uniform depth or a pretty shallow depth. Beans like it fairly shallow. And they jump out of the ground really quick and get growing. So for sure, no-till for beans. And surprisingly, I've done really well by no-tilling my brassica blends the past few years. I'm using that PH Outdoors drill, and I was surprised at how well that did, how well the Whitetail Institute wintergreens blend does when drilled. The no-till benefits from the soil moisture that's already there. If you till it, everything dries out, and then you've got to have rain in order to get germination. But if you no-till, you're putting it into hopefully a little bit of soil, subsoil moisture to begin with. So right away you get the start of germination, and brassicas seem to germinate really, really quick. So that's another one that I've done really well with no-till. And I don't plant a lot of other stuff. I mean, I've tried a few other blends on, different, more, I call them like, exotic type of blends. The bulk of my plots are going to be corn, sorghum, beans, clover, brassicas. I keep it real simple. I don't usually experiment with a whole lot of stuff. Just to get to the conclusion, I like tillage for clover, I like tillage for my corn, and I like no-till for everything else. Well, I appreciate you joining me. I'll see you back here again soon for the next episode of Dream Farm. And remember to always dream big.